So adding a second or third or fourth highlight box it's not obvious at first, but here's the trick. And this is true of most of the components in a software simulation slide. So if I hover over highlight box, you'll see that this little plus icon appears. And if I click that, it creates another highlight box that I can use somewhere on my slide. Same thing again, I can keep doing this. And I think you can have up to a total of 20 different components if I've read my Adobe Captivate user guide correctly. So that's something that you can do that's definitely available to you. So I've recorded this slide and I purposely chose the dimensions of 1366 by 768 so that the screen captures are exactly the size of a default Adobe Captivate project. And if I wanted to add a slide in between here and here, maybe to introduce a new section, I click on the new slide icon in your left-hand toolbar. You can select something from here, or you can simply start with a blank slide and add the components and blocks that you need for your transition from lesson 1 or lesson 2, whatever it might be that you wish to do. Obviously, going back to the highlight boxes here, if you've got some narration on this slide, you can have the highlight boxes appear, let's say the 4-second mark, and pressing Control L on my keyboard will take the beginning of that object and have it appear at that point there. Let's say I want to have it appear for 2 seconds, and then maybe at the 6-second mark, I want the next highlight box to appear again. Control L will help with that, and you can have that appear for several seconds. If you're looking for animation, you can go to the animation tab, and with your object selected, you can add a fade in on the entrance, and you can have the exit fade out. You can do the same thing for the second one here. So on entrance, fade in, and exit, fade out. So there you go. Now, as far as the mouse cursor is concerned, yeah, you're limited to what's here. I know they're a little dull. The one thing that I can suggest is that you make it a little bit larger so it does stand out from the background a bit. But with regards to changing their color or appearance, one of the things that you can do with the mouse is you can animate it on click, and from there you can choose a color, and that creates an effect that would really stand out. So if you used a color like a red, for example, it'll really stand out when you see that effect. So if I was to preview this, which we can do, you see the little red dot that appears at that point. If your heart is set on actually changing the color of the cursor, here's what I recommend, and this is something that I think is worth doing. Provide feedback. Telling me that you'd like a red cursor will never get you a red cursor, but letting the folks over at Adobe know, and I'll support you on this by going over to what they call the user voice site. And, I will put in the suggestion, and if you want to go here yourself, you can upvote my suggestion, and I could just call it have the ability to change the color of the mouse cursor in software simulation. I'll just say, oh, someone's already put that suggestion in. Let's just type in, let's find that. I was just there a moment ago. Simulation, mouse, cursor, color. Let's see here, mouse pointer settings. So I'm gonna upvote this by saying, hey, that's an important feature, and we'll add my name to that there. Yeah, if you found that someone else has done the same thing, it's probably better to upvote that suggestion rather than to create a new one with the same information in it there. All right, so let's see what else you've got here. The sound of the keyboard typing is annoying and can't be turned off. Actually, it can, if I'm not mistaken. Let's record a new software simulation. And I'll just minimize this for the time being. If you go with the defaults for software simulation, it is going to be somewhat limited here. But if I go into preferences, first of all, and we go into the modes section here and into settings, we can turn off keystrokes and keyboard tap sounds. The keystrokes here, the camera sounds and keystrokes, those are for you as you're recording. But the keyboard tap sounds, you can turn those off. And let's see here, what else can we change here? As far as the modes are concerned, I mean, you can set up all the defaults of what gets captured and what components get added to your software simulation. But I don't think you can change the mouse, like permanently change the mouse sound. But I think if you unselect keyboard tap sounds, I think that would get rid of it. I'm not 100% certain, but save those and then you should be good to go. Test it out. I could be lying. I could be remembering this incorrectly. When using my own more subtle sounds works in preview, but does not work in publish. And yes, for your point number 7, publishing to MP4 is not possible presently. However, the folks at Adobe have asked me about that capability. And again, what I would recommend is going to the provide feedback element that's there.